Okay. Let's get comfortable here. Okay, I'm going to talk about Immanuel Kant. Now, we have two readings from Kant. The first dealt with what is enlightenment. Um, Kant believes that the human being is perfectible. That is to say, that we can have, that we are perhaps not as strong a position as Mencius on the goodness of humanity, but definitely thinks we're perfectible, that we can be made good. Maybe not as naturally good as I say, as Mencius seems to think. But like Mencius, who's got us trying to follow our basic urges, our instincts, the wisdom of the ancients, that kind of thing. And unlike, well, I've forgotten his name now, our Muslim writer who points us at the will of Allah, especially as expressed in the Quran, uh, Kant believes that if we will learn to think, if we will be thinking things, if we will behave as adult, mature, functioning human beings, then we will become enlightened. He challenges us to do this. Because he believes most of us don't think, and indeed he may well be right. I'm not prepared to say that he's wrong. What is interesting, however, is that he does want to claim. I'm just trying to get that glare out of your face and my face too. What he does want to claim is that there is one society in which that happens during his lifetime, or one society which is moving toward that kind of thinking society, and he's really looking at the French Revolution, which he thinks will fail. He also points out the court of Frederick the Great, which he thinks will succeed. Okay, so rational thinking, listening to our higher power, intellectual power, that will bring us to enlightenment, according to Kant. If we will dare to think for ourselves, understanding that when we do think for ourselves, we have to do that in a way that's not part of our public life, but purely part of our private life. In our public life, we have to be good law-abiding citizens. We do not upset the fruit basket. It's only in our private life that we can upset the fruit basket, state what we really mean, think what we really think. This is one of the reasons why later philosophers, particularly in the 19th century, looked at Kant and saw him as a traitor to liberal thinking. And herein we mean the kind of liberal thinking that in our country is both conservatives are liberals and liberals are liberals. Really, we do believe, all of us, in the importance of individuals, of the freedom, and the importance of intelligence, and not right by might, but rather right by law. And all of these principles are the kinds of things that were really what was meant by liberalism in Kant's day. But what worried the people who were Kant's followers, and I don't mean necessarily his disciples, but rather those who came after Kant, was that he seemed to be always pointing at his local king, Frederick the Great, and saying, "Oh, he's terrific, he's tremendous." So I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about everybody else. And he does still arrive at the role of the citizen as essentially subservient to the monarch. When we take a look at his second article, we gather that what he expects, where he expects this enlightenment to happen, is in the elites, that the rich, that the educated, they will become enlightened first. They will lead the way, and you have trickle down enlightenment. Uh, for people like Hegel, certainly for Marx, uh, this kind of thing isn't going to happen. What they see is a revolution from underneath. The reason that Kant calls for the anticipated failure of the French Revolution is precisely because it's from the bottom up. And this will fail, he says, that the best have to lead, and the best are at the top, and the best have to become the best they can be. They have to become the fully matured, enlightened kind of human being that he calls for the future. And when they do become that, when the wealthy and the top of society becomes that, they will then lead everyone else. Kant is not going to admit that there's any possibility that you could be pushed from below. You must be led from above. That's his position. He has no evidence for that, but he doesn't care. Kant isn't this great synthetic point in his approach to philosophy. He does really embrace rationalism, the idea that knowledge comes through reason, that the senses can't completely be trusted, and all that kind of thing that the rationalists embrace. But he still isn't one of the first great scientists. The model we continue to accept to this day on the birth of the galaxies is referred to in the textbooks as the excuse me, the Kant-Laplace theory of galaxy formation. So Kant's is a philosophical fellow. He's also, however, a scientific fellow. However, he doesn't present any evidence for this position, and he arrives at it through reasoning about how people have to be in order to have a successful existence in the world. This idea that the Enlightenment has to be led from the top down is why he considered the French Revolution to be a failure, or considered that it would be a failure. It's why he thought that the court of Frederick the Great was the best court, because Frederick was enlightened. He thought of the world the way Kant wanted people to think of the world. Again, what we see in Kant is this idea that people are perfectible, that they are perhaps not perfectly good, but that they're capable of being good, and that they will attain goodness through attaining an enlightenment that is not like the enlightenment of the East, not like the enlightenment we talked about in the last section. This enlightenment has to do with discovering the importance of rationality in your life, discovering that if you're to be truly at one with the universe and yourself, you're going to get there through reason, careful, calculated reason, not through some kind of mystical insight that the Eastern tradition calls for. And once enlightenment will come from the top, it will trickle down, it will teach the rest, everyone will be raised up, and that's how we will reach a better, more perfect society in the future. Thanks.